All right, family, we back. Oh, let me switch that scene. My bad. We're back, family. All right, so I wanted to show you that video in which, what is going on? Jesus Christ, man. What is going on with this thing? Please bear with me, family. Please bear with me. I am just as frustrated with this situation as you.
It's temporary. They won't be here forever.
So that's there. Let's go here. And then here. There we go. All right. All right, family. Now we can get into it. I'm going to try to make this quick because we don't have much time. But I do want to show you some of the reactions some of the statements made and some of the reactions that was given to those statements. So let's start off.
And if something happens, we have Chicago Police Department, we have resources that will uphold the law,
To discuss the migrant encampment.
Oh, y'all, but you guys just seeing, right? They was not having it. And if you watched the last video that I put out on the situation in Chicago with the immigrants and how one of the older women was literally beat up on by her constituents, these were the constituents that beat up on the older woman. But just wanted to drop that.
At 38th in California. I want to first start by stating that this is not a 15th Ward issue. This is a 12th Ward issue.
Right.
But this is...
We're going to skip him.
Understood?
And allow the people...
Let's roll.
Allow people
Hector
to
Delgado.
Now, the first few people...
And forgive me if I mess up anyone's names. It's not intentional. Anthony Voltel. Richard Zupkis. Selena Gomez. And Yadira
Now, this
Silva.
guy here, I don't know. The
And
guy
please
in the
identify
red,
yourself when you come up to the microphone.
the guy in the red, I believe he works for the city because he's like the person that's like working with the microphone, helping people get the microphone right and everything else.
Hector Delgado from Brighton Park. How you doing, neighbors? Yeah. Good to see you, everyone. I'm glad to see everyone in here. Well, first of all, I don't agree with the camp. I lived in this community for a lot of years. My wife for over 35 years and have not seen significant investments in the community, often plagued by violence, with no response from the police. Infusing a community with 2,000 migrants with no plans is not a feasible plan. It's not sustainable or fair. There is no assistance for schools, no plan for bilingual support. Now tell me, what about the migrants in this community that have lived here for over 30 years and have no viable path to citizenship? What about them? Tell me. Everything right off the bat, and that is not fair. Do you guys agree? I do.
Now, I just wanted to stop for a second to make it very thing that we've been saying as Black Americans with every other group that comes in and try to shoehorn their way into getting funding before we can get the funding for our community. But you see this man using our argument for his community as if it applies. And in a sense, it kind of does. However, this is what we're talking about. And when we were talking about it, everybody wanted us to just be quiet. Everybody was telling us that we're being divisive. Everybody was telling us that we're just being either xenophobic or anti-immigrant, when the truth of the matter is, we're just saying the exact same thing that this man said because we are owed a debt. We are owed a debt. We're the only people in this country that is owed the debt that we are owed. So, of course, we wouldn't want anybody coming in taking the resources away when we can't even get the resources in our own communities. But let's continue.
Will they have support? There is no transparency or accountability. We deserve to be heard, and we deserve to have a voice. We are also part of the soul of Chicago. Thank you.
Now, the next person that's going to come up is one of the people, and there's going to be several people that you can tell were plants, right? Because they came in, they start speaking as if they're eating, basically, let them cook type stuff. When the fact of the matter is, they wasn't making any type of sense. They wasn't even putting two together when they were talking about there's enough resources for all, but not everybody can feed their families, and people got to choose left or whether they want to eat or pay rent and all this other stuff. Well, all that is a product of the illegals coming in and all that funding going to them, and is coming out of your pocket because your taxes are involved with the situation. And that's brought up in this video a little bit later as well. But let's continue.
Evening, everybody. I'm Anthony Voitel from the 12th Ward in the McKinley Park neighborhood.
I apologize. It's not him. It's the next person.
This is an issue that is centered around housing, really. It's simply about housing, so I'm just going to speak to that. I want everybody in the room to know that I think the central question we should be trying to answer together as a community is, how can we ensure that nobody in the city of Chicago goes homeless, lives on the street, anything like that? I know that everybody in this room probably has to look at your paycheck at the end of the month and you say, half of this has got to go to the rent, or half of this has got to go to my mortgage. And each of us in this room is probably also considered, I'm one medical emergency away from losing my home. Maybe I'm a car crash away from not being able to get to my job and keep my job, keep my income. So I want us all to focus on how can we reach out to folks that are in need, whether you've been here for a day or whether you've been here for 30 years, to guarantee.
So did y'all catch that? See, he started off like, and see, that's what happened. Him and the next man kind of blend in together. But he starts off by talking about all the things. I'm sure we all can talk about the things that we need and all this other stuff. But what I want to figure out is how to help people, whether you've been here for a day or been here for years. No, that's not how countries work. And that's not how you can actually be sustainable within communities. That's not how it works. Because what ends up happening is we foot the bill for all of these people who aren't getting any type, for all these people that's getting all the resources, all the people that's not getting any type of resources is footing the bill for it. It's coming out of our taxes. We pay taxes out of the jobs we work. We pay taxes for our housing and all that other stuff. We pay taxes for the little goods and services that we want. So when it comes down to the situation, it is us who are literally being put on a hook to take care of someone who's been here for a day, who's been here for a week, who's been here for a month. That's just the facts. And everything increases when we are put on a hook for a bunch of people who are not even a part of our country. And that's just the facts. Let's continue. Come on now, Lil Joe.
That everybody who calls Chicago home can have the right to a home, to shelter, to the security that comes with it, I think the city council is introducing something along the lines today, Mr. Lopez.
He's talking about socialism in its finest.
Forward, because I think that is the core central issue here, that everybody deserves a right to a home. We should do everything we can to ensure nobody is.
Rich Chicago, this is stupid. This is so stupid. Okay, you want to spend that kind of money? Fine. Where'd that $300 million go this year? How many migrants are here so far and they're coming in real fast? How many are on their way? 17 million crossed the border in the last 2 years. How many more are coming to Chicago? Where are we going to?
See, he starts off. This is the guy I'm actually talking about. He starts off making a little bit of sense. He start calling out the numbers and he's talking about where are we going to put them. But pay attention. Don't fall for the gag. Come on, little Joe. Back door. Oh, wow. Guess the video popped out for a second. Well, while it's doing its little... Okay, let's try it out now. It says it's playing, but it's not. Let's drag it back a little bit. Jesus Christ. I should have just muted it and went back because these things be tripping. All right, let's try this again. But like I was saying, what you're seeing and what you're hearing is people who aren't a part of certain neighborhoods going to these places and speaking as if they should be allowing these things to happen in these neighborhoods. What is going on here? Okay, so apparently there is some crap going on with this too. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to have to figure out a way to deal with that, ladies and gentlemen, because it can get very irritating very fast. But my point was this. We have people who are actively working against our interests, and even the people who look like the people who are coming here, they're saying the exact same thing. They don't want them here. Send them back. It's not about being anti-immigrant. It's not about any of that. What it's about is making sure that the resources for certain communities are protected and used for those communities in which they belong to. And the fact of the matter is, we have way too many communities. We have way too many communities who aren't seeing anything, any bit of progress, any bit of type of help to the people of those communities, but yet you could bring in everybody else from outside of the country and give them everything that we are supposed to get. That's what taxes are. There are two types of taxes by way of the Constitution. There's an impost, ex post tax. So you got one that is a tax on capital gain, and you have another that's a tax, for the average individual. The capital gain tax doesn't apply to you. However, there's two taxes that does apply to you: property taxes, and then the the excess tax, which is basically there's a tax on every gallon of gas. Because you don't have to drive a car. You can actually ride your bike to school or to work or to wherever, right? There's a tax on every pack of cigarettes. because you don't have to smoke. That is a choice that you make, right? Most products we are taxed on by way of the Constitution. Those funds are supposed to go back into our cities. Those cities are supposed to put those funds back into our communities by way of programs, by way of like transportation, jobs, all that. That comes from your tax money. So when we have a situation to where people like Brandon Johnson are going behind the scenes and just pushing them into people's communities without even talking to the people in those communities, without talking to the aldermen or alder women in those communities, and when they do talk to them, they just bypass them. He just bypassed them. Eric Adams as well. We're in a situation where we have people actively working against the interests of not just Black America, but America altogether. But Black America, in the sense, we're the ones who are going to be the ones who